Let's talk about cigar boxes. You know, this video could be a couple hours long if I took the time to look at all the different boxes that are out there that are available for us to use in our builds today. But what I decided to do was to pick a couple of my favorite boxes. And they're kind of examples of all the different kinds of boxes you're going to run into. And I'll just kind of go through it and tell you a little bit about each one of them or each style of them and why they make a good cigar box guitar, cigar box instrument. So, these companies take a lot of time, go to a lot of effort and expense to make some really cool boxes. And I always wondered, why do they go to all that trouble? I mean, all it has to do is carry a bunch of cigars that are relatively lightweight from a factory to a distributor to a retailer and sit on the shelf for the customers to pick which cigar they like. Well, recently I was in one of my favorite cigar shops here in town. They know me because I come in and buy boxes all the time. One of my favorite guys there came up to me and said, "Hey, Mike, did you know that 70% of the decision on which cigar to buy is based upon the box that it arrives in or the box that's on the shelves?" I thought, that's kind of interesting. A lot of guys like to go to the store and they have one or two cigars and they stay with those. It's kind of like their favorite choice of beer or wine. They stay with it. They don't switch. But a lot of people go in and they like to explore, try different things, look at what's on the menu and try a different cigar. And so it's the box that influences them. So you can kind of see why maybe it's kind of part of the marketing plan. It's part of the game. Let's make our boxes really cool. Because sometimes you see stuff that is just so dang cool, you kind of got to believe that has to influence them. This is a box I found recently. It's really cool. It's called the Knuckle Sandwich. And who doesn't like a knuckle sandwich? Us old guys will know what that means. And there's a lot of them that are really cool. Some of the arts, it's just really cool marketing when you make a box and it has a moose that's smoking a cigar. You know, how cool is that? Then there's just all kinds of stuff and just all kinds of boxes here. And we'll run through them a little bit. So the first thing that we want to talk about is usually the size. That's the one question I get the most is what size works. And what I generally tell people is you can take a little bit smaller box and make a ukulele. You need a normal size box to make a guitar. And then you need a really big box to make a bass. And so I've got some examples and samples of some of those here. What I do, I've learned over life that the span from my thumb to my little fingers is about 9 inches. And what I pretty much say is to build a guitar, it's got to be about 9 to 10 inches. I know with a bass, if I'm doing a bass, it's got to be much longer. It's got to be up there, upwards of 12 inches long. So those are some things that you have to kind of keep in consideration. What is it you want to build? And then you'll know what boxes you're going through the store because you're going to see hundreds of them. Because people always ask me, "Mike, where do I find boxes?" Well, I live in Tampa, and Tampa was at one point kind of a big cigar industry town. Lots and lots of cigar factories here. There's still a few in existence here. There's even a place in town where you can go and watch people actually roll the cigars. So we have a lot of big distributors and a lot of big retailers there. So down here in Tampa, I have my choice. So I'm fortunate. Other cities have the same thing. If you go to a big city, there's usually some cigar box retailers and they have boxes. Now, some of them have realized that they can make a little bit of money on them, but some of them realize that they just stack up. There's one shop here in town that I mentioned previously. They sell their boxes for about $1 a piece. And they go through a lot. They create a lot of boxes and then they put them in this big, giant plywood box. And occasionally when the box gets full, they call me on the phone and say, "Mike, come get some boxes." I've got more than I need. I probably have over 1,000 boxes, and that's way too many boxes. But when people come here and they want some, I have some, and I share, and then we do make some kits out of them. So you can find them anywhere. You can find them at those places. Another place is if you know you want something specifically, you can look on eBay, or you can just find one of the other retailers online to try and find the boxes. They can get a little bit expensive, but if it's a specific box you want, that's probably a fair price or a fair way to go about getting them. So again, lots of places to get. You go to auctions, flea markets, antique stores. There's always some box laying around. There's some cigar box because they made these literally by the millions. There's lots of them out there. So let's talk about the materials used because that's really a big critical factor is what is the material of the box. Some of them are actually made out of wood. This is a solid wood, all wood box. It's even actually, a lot of them have plywood, like this is a plywood top, but it's solid wood on the four sides around it. So you'll see a lot of solid wood boxes. On the other extreme, you'll see some that are paper. This is one of my favorite boxes. I just absolutely love this Toronto Exodus, but it's a pressed paper box. But they make really, really good electric guitars. Just one of my favorites. And then there are a lot that are, different kinds of wood construction. This is a good one. This is probably, I would have to say, from my experience, this is one of the most popular boxes that you'll find is these padrones. Solid wood. A lot of guys like them because they're really great for acoustics. Very, very plain. There's nothing really exciting about it, but they're really solid boxes, and they're pretty plentiful out there. You can see a lot of them around. So you can have the pressed paper ones. Some are actually thin paper and they're not usable, but others are a little bit thicker, like this one, and it's usable. The solid wood ones are great. One of the finer boxes out there that I actually like are these. I think it's Iroa. These are solid boxes, solid wood, and boy, are they a well-built box. They are really solid, thick, heavy walls. One of my favorite boxes. Then you kind of got to look at the type of construction. There's lots of ways to make cigar boxes. The one I always kind of like is like this padrone that I talked about, where it's actually there's a lid and there's a bottom, and it's kind of split. It has hinges, and then it has this internal thing that's called a collar. These are really nice because they can make a really solid box. As I'm building, sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually glue the top closed because that makes a really solid enclosure and a great base to build something on. I use these a lot with my bolt-on necks because I cut a hole in the back and that allows you to mount the neck. So those work really, really well. One of the things you do when you look for wood, and I tell people to do this all the time, is kind of keep your eyes open, because sometimes you'll stumble into a box that is absolutely incredible. Now, these box manufacturers, they probably buy wood by the truckload, and all kinds of boxes, all kinds of wood comes in. It's not sorted, and sometimes you'll stumble onto something that's really incredible. This is an incredible, incredible box, a basic, simple Warhawk box. But if you'll kind of look at it, what you can see is the different wood grains in there that just make it look absolutely fantastic. I mean, this is really a very desirable and very collectible box, and will make one heck of an instrument because it has that pattern on there. Another one that I found recently was this cheap Cohiba. Nothing exciting about these boxes, but just look at the figure. Look at the figure on that wood that happens to be in there. It's just really incredible. Another one is this Cohiba box, and you just look at it, and it just is incredible as you look at it and change it, and the light hits it at different directions. You can really see that. You can see that figure in there. It's just remarkable. So there's other types of constructions. There's the slide-in cover. You can take this, the old Moose. It doesn't open, doesn't have a hinge, but it slides in and out. That makes it a little more complicated to actually build something out of that. But it's a cool box, and you can kind of figure that out. Then a real interesting boxes are these 20th anniversary Drew Estate boxes. They're actually clad in aluminum. Talk about a solid box. This is one solid box. This one was kind of interesting. I have a habit, because I just like the smell of smelling the inside of a cigar box, because that aroma from the cigars is just really cool. This one's really neat because it still has the original cigar leaves in there that were kind of used as packing, and it just makes an incredible smell and looks kind of cool, and it's a neat story. Also, one of the things I've stumbled on probably twice in my days of collecting boxes is I've gotten two of them out of the box bin, and they still had cigars in them. Maybe somebody at the store was packing the shelves, wasn't paying attention, and kind of got rid of the box and still had cigars in it. So you'll stumble across those. There are always boxes that have kind of themes. This is one of my favorite. Rocky Patel, he's always got cool boxes. Rocky Patel he's a master at marketing. And so this is a Freedom box. And of course, being a little bit with my background and, my support of veterans and stuff like this. I just love this box. It's got Washington crossing the Delaware art. It just really, really cool. And some of them, they just have really neat things. I mean, everybody likes a skull, and I guess everybody would like a skull that's in outer space. So that's kind of a cool one here. Other ones that you'll see are the really, really high-end boxes. The perfect example is this one here. This is a great example. This is a Camacho Liberty. It's a big box. It's beautiful. It's got great work, great artwork. It's got a great finish on it. Just absolutely beautiful. And these are nice and long, so you can build a bass or a six string out of them. Just incredible box. They're hard to find. It's one thing you have to kind of keep in mind, and I always tell people, kind of be careful. If you see a box that you really like, you better grab onto it. As a matter of fact, if I see one that's really cool, I'll try and get as many as I can. I even will go to eBay and try and find them. For example, this box. This is another Camacho. This is the Scorpion. This one, I believe, if I remember correctly, was from about 1912 to or 2012 to 2013, somewhere in that time frame. The cigar manufacturers do this kind of like with marketing campaigns, whereas maybe a Padron will use the same box year in, year out. Some of the other manufacturers like to switch it up. They like to have a new look. They'll introduce a new line of cigars, and they'll have a whole new style of boxes, and some of them are really, really cool. And so if you see one and you really like it, and it makes a neat build, much like this one, and we'll put down in the video section, we'll show a video of Rick Vito actually playing one of these boxes on a cigar box guitar, and it's really cool. These are one of the best built boxes out there. These Drew Estates, just from the nature of the construction, the way they build them, great joints, solid, nice heavy boxes. So they make a really, really solid box. Sometimes you have to be a little bit creative. I just like this box. This is a really cool box. Sin Compromiso, beautiful green, nice rounded corners, just feels wonderful. Problem is it's really thin. So I wanted to build something out of this. So what I actually did is I made a spacer. I took the top and the bottom and I put them apart about 1.5 inches. So I was able to make a thicker box on that. And that turned out really, really well. One of the other things you need to do on some of these plain boxes that don't have a finish is to add a finish. And this is an example. And we'll post a link to another video I have on how to put a finish on a box. So I took one that pretty much looked like this, just a plain box with no finish. And by adding a finish, it really comes to life. It really pops when you put a clear finish on it, and it makes it look really, really cool. So one of my other favorite boxes, I've really been on these lately, is these Atabey boxes. Now, they actually sold them at the store. You buy the cigars in them, but it's actually you take it home and make it into a humidor. So they really invest heavily in it. And of course, the cigars, you wonder, how does that happen? But they put $25, $40 cigars in this box. So there's a little bit of room and margin to make a really nice box for it that can go home and be a humidor. So just incredible stuff. They come in a lot of different sizes. Here's one of the bigger ones. I've done a few stand-up basses by using the bigger boxes. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one yet. Trying to think of maybe some real interesting instrument to make with that. So again, lots of options. One thing to do, keep your eyes open. One of my buddies, here's again another Rocky Patel. He got this at a cigar shop and brought it in the other day. I've never seen this box before, but boy, is it really cool. Called a Disciple. It's got neat paper on it, a nice, really good, well-built, solid wood box. It's just an incredible box, and so there's always something new out there for you to look at. I want to show you. Then there's always the object of the artwork, and it's always kind of interesting. I'm sure you've probably seen these Deadwood Tobacco, this Sweet Jane. That's just cool. There's just a kind of a feel about boxes that have kind of cool artwork on it that is kind of like, just really neat to have those. So there's a lot of really cool stuff out there that you can find. Just give me a second. I want to show you a couple other boxes and a couple other things to think about when you're looking at boxes. Feel free to be creative when you put together a cigar box guitar. There's lots of things you can do. This is one of my fat bottom kits. And as you can see, it's covered with parts of different cigar boxes. Early on, as I was out looking for cigar boxes, I would see there was a lot of them, probably 80 to 90% of what I saw was too small to make a cigar box guitar. So what I would do is I'd pass on them. And one day I said, it would really be nice if I could find a use for it. And so this was something that I created, that I took top, sides, and bottoms of a lot of different cigar boxes, cut them up, glued them on the cover, and I was able to come up with this arrangement. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. And I can kind of still call it a cigar box guitar because it does have some cigar boxes on it. Another thing, sometimes you'll run into them when they're not big enough. And this was a pretty cool, I just happen to like the art of a scorpion. And you can find these little bitty Camacho scorpion boxes. And of course, they're too small to do anything with. Can't even make a ukulele out of them. So I said, well, what if you put two of them together? Now, these are cool because they come in black, orange, and yellow. And so you have all kinds of color options with it. So it's a lot of fun. So I basically bolted two of them together, and it turned out and it looked pretty good. One of the things that I just kind of close on is that it's just amazing, just absolutely amazing, the coincidence of what makes a good cigar box also makes a good cigar box guitar. I'm kind of a stickler. If they have art on the cover, I like to show the whole art. I don't like to put a pickup right in the middle of it. And look how it worked out with this one. Again, another Camacho with a scorpion. This is an older box. This is really hard to find. If you can stumble across it, grab it. But it just so happened that when I put it all together, I put the pickup in there, put the bridge in there, the art, the really important art of that scorpion is right in the middle. And I thought that was really, really cool. Another one similar, Romeo e Julieta. Takes a while to get that out. This is one of their boxes. This is probably like 5 or 6 years ago. I used to be able to find a few of them. Now they're very difficult to find, but it just worked out well. I mean, the artwork is just incredible. This heart with a dagger through it with the words Havoc. That's just an incredible box. So one of my favorites. I like it a lot. I try and find them when I can. Don't see them very often. So again, just in closing, there's tons of boxes out there. You can find them at all kinds of places. There's probably a retailer somewhere near you or in the next town over, or if you ever go to a big city, make sure to look there. And what will happen, because I see it happen all the time, is you get excited. It's kind of like a treasure hunt, and you go out and you look and you look and you find them and you get excited because you find them. And the next thing you know is you wind up with a garage full of them. Happens all the time. But there's nothing wrong with that. Get them, enjoy them, make something out of them, give it away, have fun. See you in the next video.